Hi guys, I'm live. How you guys doing? I just thought I'd do some road rant. I'm on my walk, on my way home, but just thought I'd do some road rant. I want to talk about something. The Jesus story, probably isn't true, but there's some good moral to the story. That Jesus he knew. He took injustice. He took the blame for something that he didn't do. He took punishment where he had done nothing. And I personally understand that. And I respect that quality in a person, especially one that could have showed himself to be otherwise and showed them who he was and all that, blah blah blah. But he did not, and it's the hero's story, whether Jesus existed or not, and we all have a part in that. We all have some parts of us that have done that, or maybe we've done, it's just the hero's story or the hero's journey, and I've had some of that. I've related to some of that, and one thing I want to say about injustice and being blamed for something you didn't do and all that kind of stuff is I want to point to something in our society that is evil, and it's called the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is very, very evil. It says that you're patriotic if you put your fears and your transgressions, your evil on someone else and then call them on it. You've done your country a favor. That's evil. The Patriot Act is evil. Basically, if anybody doesn't like you, you are already condemned. It's illegal to have haters. It's illegal to have someone that wants to hurt you, or doesn't like you, or can accuse you of anything. That was so important to the government to get that passed. They demolished a building of their own people, killing almost 5,000 people just to have that piece of work, that piece of paper into law. That's how important that was to control of government. Now anyone that has any hater, that has any way of putting them, twisting things around and basically wanting to do away with somebody. That person is already a criminal because someone wanted to do away with him. That makes him a criminal. It's a crime to have a hater. It's a crime to have somebody like you. It's a crime to be the object of anybody else's hatred and evil. And it's basically the Jesus story in a different dress. I understand some of that principle. I think we all have. We've all experienced injustice. Been blamed for something that was done to us, not by us, or wasn't even done at all. And I just felt like saying this, whatever. And now we all buy it. We all think the Patriot Act is good because government says it is. But you realize what the government did to get that in law? They basically blew up 5,000 people. They planned that in 1986. The Patriot Act was already drafted 15 years before 9/11. 2001. It was drafted in 1986. They just needed a reason to sign it into law. And there was something called PNAC, Project for a New American Century. They wanted all this difference. They wanted us to be constantly surveilled. They wanted the Patriot Act, and they got it. They got it hook, line, and sinker, as they say in fishing. And they win as long as we buy it, as long as we go along with it and think, we have to be suspicious because somebody blew us up. Well, that was Mr. Bush. Be suspicious of that asshole. What did he do? Oh, yeah, he's the one that drafted the Patriot Act. which we somehow accept and embrace and espouse, when that Patriot Act was drafted by the very same that murdered the 5,000 people and then blamed it on the Arabs or whatever they were. Why would the Arabs bomb us on 9/11? Why would they care? How would they even know that that's our emergency signal? Oh, but we know, and they know we know, so they did it because they know that we know. Bush and his people knew that would strike a chord with them. The Arabs would have no way of knowing that, nor would they sit there and go, let's bomb them on 9/11. They'll get that really, that'll really drive it home to them. That is a total inside job from start to finish. And they got the Patriot Act that they wanted, and I'm against it. You guys do what you want, but I think it's evil, and I don't think there's anything patriotic about being hateful and evil, which is what the Patriot Act is. Everybody's supposed to rock and roll.